Hello, I'm Bishop Kirby Clements.
I'm Pastor Sandra Clements.
I want to talk with you about a theme, intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Intelligence has historically been known as an academic theory. It's been measured by what we call an acronym of IQ. It's the ability to do mathematics, to understand space and language, and to solve problems. But I discovered that genius without compassion is arrogance. And there's an intelligence that looks beyond what we see. There's an intelligence that understands the connection of things, that understands the working of God, that's able to integrate the spirit, soul, and body, make the decisions, understand visions and dreams and revelation, and understand all of these things, because the things that are seen are made by things unseen. Spiritual intelligence is the ability to not only to understand these dynamics, but to integrate them in our lives. We're talking about this and training them, Sandra, about spiritual intelligence, because I think it's something that we need to learn more about.
Well, I'm excited about spiritual intelligence in that it has forced us out of the walls of our thinking and our Christian or our religious paradigms, and we're seeing the value of body, soul, and spirit. We're not just one-dimensional; we are three-dimensional, and we want to have a what is it? What do you call that word? Where we interact, we integrate.
Integrate.
It's syncretism. Is that the word?
Syncretism, yes.
We want all those parts to work effectively and healthy for our people. So we're dealing with the body. We're helping people understand how to eat, exercise, how to think positively, how to think like God, how to have redemptive thoughts, and then to develop the spirit dynamic, that body, soul, and spirit synergy. That's the word I want, that synergy where we are truly one with ourselves and definitely one with God.
You know, some of the themes that we've been dealing with, for example, I've dealt with the theology of suffering. Not a lot of people want to talk about that, but
No.
Faith requires intelligence. And to navigate through some of the difficult areas of our life requires an intelligence. Believe it or not, all of us suffer. We have difficulties and challenges. And it's not because God is punishing us, and sometimes it's because we live in an ungodly world. But when it comes, we must be able to address it and to deal with it, and it requires an intelligence. I think that when people have setbacks, unless you have been prepared for it, for years, we felt that if people were challenged, that it was because they lacked faith, or they were in sin, or they were ignorant of the promises of God, or they didn't make the right confession. I promise you, you can do all of that and still have difficulties. So spiritual intelligence helps us to navigate through some of the difficult times of life, helps us to understand the working of faith. We have dealt with things such as spiritual integration. Integration and segregation have been socio-political terms. But I think there's a concept of what God has joined together, let no man cast asunder. And there's some things that God has joined together that we've separated. For example, the idea of gifts and sanctification. You know, it often said that people who have gifts are not sanctified, but they need to be. Faith, hear me carefully, faith and understanding, or the supernatural and the natural. Everything that God does is supernatural, but sometimes we separate faith and medicine. So there are things that need to be put back together. And whenever you separate what God has joined, there are tremendous consequences. So Sandra, this idea of spiritual intelligence, I think, is a very pregnant topic. You talked about core beliefs in it too.
Extremely and extremely pregnant. In fact, we are dealing with core beliefs because some of our core beliefs about ourselves don't reflect how God thinks or feels about us. Some of our core beliefs about God have to be uprooted, and new beliefs have to be planted. Understanding yourself and the dynamics of yourself. Your core beliefs, believe me, are written into you from the day you were born until the present day. And some of those core beliefs have led us in paths that we shouldn't go in. Some of them are negative. Some of them are erroneous. And so we are uprooting those core beliefs that don't produce the peaceable fruits of righteousness or positive thought in our lives about ourselves and others.
Well, you know, one of the topics here, well, this will be closing, one of the topics we've been dealing with is the idea of aging. Aging. You know, Zechariah 4 said that the presence of people with gray hair and a cane is an indication of the favor of God. Do you know that the presence of old people in your community or in your church or in your home is an indication of the favor of God? With Israel, when there were no old people, it was an indication that they died premature, which means they were under the judgment of God. Their enemies had overcome them. The fact that there were old people in our community indicated that they had the favor of God. So I've been talking about age and aging. I think we need to get a new biblical perspective of age and old people. We need to stop this stuff, old school, new school. There's no such thing. We need to learn how to integrate generations, transgeneration, a respect for the young and for the old. So Sandra, on this thing of spiritual intelligence, core belief, I think the people need to hear this. We've got something to say to them. You want to close out?
Well, I want to say, come to the community of the Holy Spirit. Come to the breakfasts that we're hosting, and they'll be posted on the ICM website and also the Community of the Holy Spirit website. Join us via streaming. We stream, ustream.com, the Community of the Holy Spirit. You can catch us there because we are speaking to your generation, and we are speaking not only locally, but we're speaking to a global audience.
So Kirby Clements here, Bishop Kirby Clements.
Pastor Sandra Clements.
Paul said, I would not have you to be ignorant. We want you to be intelligent, spiritually intelligent.